Fake news has taken over our lives. While it's true that fake news has become a significant problem with far-reaching consequences, claiming it has taken over our lives might be an oversimplification. Fake news certainly exists, but it's important to acknowledge that genuine, fact-checked journalism remains readily available. While fake news can spread quickly on social media, studies show that most people still rely on traditional news sources for accurate information. Fake news can have serious consequences, like eroding trust in institutions, polarizing communities, and impacting public health. However, the extent of its influence varies depending on the topic and audience. It's important to avoid exaggerating the impact of fake news, as this can lead to panic and distrust in all information sources. Positive steps are being taken to address the issue. Social media platforms are implementing measures to flag and remove fake content. Fact-checking organizations are actively verifying information and debunking false claims. Media literacy initiatives are educating people on how to critically evaluate information. What is fake news? Misleading or false information circulated as being true is fake news. This is done to manipulate the facts and deceive the public. Fake stories, doctored images, audio, and videos are being planted every day to carry on this narrative. Earlier, traditional news outlets were the only means of communication, but with the internet, new avenues have opened. Websites and social media have perpetrated these falsehoods, and traditional media also has joined in. Now, fake news is made up of entirely inaccurate facts. Some parts or the whole story itself can be false. It often bends towards sensationalism by presenting emotionally charged stories. The purpose is to deceive the readers and viewers of it, to propagate their agendas. The benefits for them could be political or financial gains or something different. There are no sources or basis for that news. You can come up with the entire thing without being responsible or accountable for it. It could be hearsay or cooked up. It is made up according to its target audience. It is presented in such a way that people tend to believe it, without verification, as it aligns with their belief systems. It originates from untrustworthy sources. False information tends to go viral quickly with the ease of social media. You can forward those WhatsApp messages or retweet what you see. The purpose of it is generally to spread the information in a limited period. Spread the false news or damage reputations. It is the responsibility of the person who has been affected by it to clarify things, not of those who spread it. As is the case with the traditional sources of journalism. Inciting hate and violence, damaging someone's reputation, or enhancing your own are some of its intended purposes. Some ways, it has taken over our lives. Elections are being manipulated and influenced through the spread of fake news. It can be done, both domestically, by the opponents, or by the foreign governments, inimical to the interests of that country. Misleading ads are being shown all over for financial or political gains. These ads generate revenue through these false reports and stories. As seen during COVID, false news can create havoc on the public. False treatments and some unproven drugs were promoted for financial gains, impacting the public. False news makes people distrust the traditional sources or the experts who are trying to debunk those theories. Distrust in society increases. Once the fake news is introduced into the digital ecosystem, it stays there and continues to circulate and spread further. How do you correct the WhatsApp messages? Even if you do, there are millions of other copies circulating. False news is used to sow the seeds of discontent with the public and advance their agenda. Any attempts to stop the spread are often met with protests about stifling free speech or press freedom. Free speech is often used to browbeat the other party to back off. How do you stop the spread of fake news? It is difficult to answer. If the government shuts down the internet, that is an attack on the people's fundamental rights and civil liberties. If the news outlets are asked to remove the content, that is an attack on the press freedom. Social media companies like TikTok and YouTube have algorithms that promote content that is being liked by people. They don't check or care about the authenticity of it. The content is displayed to others based on likes. Automated bots are being used to spread fake news. Bots can target a large audience and are being used to spread the news more quickly than humans. Foreign governments have often used these automated bots to spread fake news and influence the outcome of the elections. If the news is shared by someone in a friend's circle or in the family, it is more likely to be believed without verification. How can we stop it? It requires a multi-dimensional approach to tackle this problem. We need to encourage people to support quality journalism through donations or subscriptions. Education is a key part of preventing its spread. We need to teach these critical thinking skills in schools and colleges. News organizations need to become more transparent with their sources. Slow down and think critically. Don't share information impulsively. Take the time to evaluate it carefully before spreading it further. Be a responsible consumer of information and share only what you know to be true and accurate. Foster curiosity and inquiry. Ask open-ended questions and encourage yourself and others to question the why behind the information. Who benefits from this information? What is the author's perspective? Are there alternative viewpoints? Play devil's advocate and challenge assumptions and accepted narratives. Explore opposing perspectives to understand their arguments and weaknesses. Embrace the unknown and view information as a starting point, not an end. Be excited to learn more and delve deeper into complex topics. Identify bias and recognize how personal beliefs, political agendas, and commercial interests can influence information. Look for logical fallacies and be aware of common errors in reasoning, such as strawman arguments or ad hominem attacks. Practice active reading and listening. Slow down and pay attention, and don't skim information. Take the time to understand the nuances of the content. Question assumptions and biases. Don't blindly accept everything you read or hear. Ask yourself how the information is presented and why. Identify missing information. Look for gaps in the information or evidence that is not presented. Compare and contrast different perspectives and seek out diverse viewpoints on the same topic to gain a more comprehensive understanding. Before sharing, check the source. Is it a reputable news organization with a history of fact-checking? Look for websites with established editorial teams and clear mission statements. Be wary of unfamiliar websites with sensational headlines or poor grammar. While reading, examine the headline. Is it phrased in a way that is clearly biased or misleading? Does it use all caps, exclamation points, or other attention-grabbing tactics? Look for evidence and citations. Does the article cite credible sources to support its claims? Are the sources quoted accurately and in context? Beware of loaded language. Watch out for language designed to evoke a specific reaction, such as fake news, liberal elite, or radical right. Check the date, and make sure the article is current, especially for fast-moving topics. Outdated information can be misleading. Be aware of visual manipulation. Images and videos can be easily edited to be misleading. Be cautious of content without clear context or provenance. Don't be afraid to doubt. It's okay to question information, even if it comes from a seemingly reputable source. If we get something sensational, we need to take steps to verify the information and fact-check it before we forward it to others. Social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and others need to strengthen their checks and balances before this information is circulated. Maybe include the name of the author who sends the initial message, to name and shame them, and prevent the future initiation of these false stories. Establish news databases that can fact-check the news and remove all its sources if it is false. Identifying and mass deletions of the messages is easier for, say, a Facebook than the individual who wants to fight it separately. Maybe impose a periodic ban on the people who spread it to discourage anyone from initiating it in the first place. Companies can initiate a mechanism to flag a particular message, audio, or video as fake, and they can check its authenticity. If it's found to be fake, it can be removed from their system. Be skeptical of emotional appeals. Fake news often uses strong emotions like fear, anger, or outrage to attract attention. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. Ask yourself if the story is trying to manipulate you rather than inform you. Do your research. If a story seems unbelievable, take the time to research it further. Look for reputable news outlets reporting the same story and be aware of potential bias in any source you consult. Verify information and look for evidence to support the claims made in the article. Do the sources cited seem credible? Are their quotes taken out of context? Use fact-checking websites like Snopes, PolitiFact, or FactCheck.org to verify specific claims. Establish independent and reliable fact-checking organizations that can analyze and investigate it. Governments internationally need to collaborate with each other in establishing some sort of mechanism to tackle this menace. Regulation is needed internationally to ensure that people adhere to a set standard for reporting news. Tech companies need to be more responsible and tackle this issue head-on instead of just focusing on their profits. Clearly demarcate what constitutes free speech and what the writers are for. Free speech should come with writers. Anything that spreads hate and violence cannot be free speech. Anywhere it constitutes immediate harm to someone, threats and bullying are not free speech. Slander and obscenity cannot be classified as free speech. People have a right to privacy, including celebrities. Prying into their personal lives should not constitute free speech. Threats to others, child pornography, and copyright violations are not free speech. Outside of this limited scope, people should be free to speak out without government intervention. They should be free to criticize the policies without any retribution. Follow experts and academics in your field of interest and look for individuals with relevant credentials and a history of insightful analysis. Engage in critical discussions with others and share information with friends and family. But encourage healthy debate and questioning of all sources. Critical thinking and healthy skepticism are lifelong skills. It takes time, effort, and practice to develop them. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Use them as learning opportunities to refine your approach to information. Be patient and persistent. The ability to navigate the information landscape effectively is crucial in today's world. Report the people spreading false information to the law authorities so that strict action can be taken against them. We also need to be skeptical of any news that sounds too good to be true, or on the other side, that spreads hate and violence. Check the source and do a little research of your own. Be aware of your own bias. If something confirms that bias fact, check it before spreading it further. Remember, some things don't have a second coming. Fake news and some things can be fatal. So we need to be worrying about the sources. Misprints and misinformation about health, for example, can lead to fatal consequences. Media organizations also have a huge role to play. Somewhere, the media have become too partisan and people's trust has been eroded in them. They need to earn it back through responsible and ethical journalism. Report facts instead of trying to hoist their own opinions. Opinions and analysis should be clearly labeled. For example, the opinions were only restricted to the inside editorial pages in traditional newspapers. They need to explain the methods they used to gather that information and become more transparent about it. They need to bring back the rigorous editorial oversight to prevent its spread.